Max Murin shoot into the same cradle 2 times. I mean, that's Sammy Sasso's best move. And if you're going to try to beat him, you are not going to beat him there. And I can commend someone for their persistence, but I can also condemn them for their stupidity.
Wow.
And you're not going to beat Sammy Sasso shooting a head inside single, for God's sakes. Do something else.
Condemnation from Ben Askren. That's a first. Max Murin.
Hey, that was a fair statement. I appreciate the persistence, but don't do something that's going to put you in a cradle 2 times in a row. Jeez Louise.
Well, I mean,
Zane doesn't do a Chirella cradle either, so I think we're safe there.
Okay, so
he doesn't do that move.
Zane is certainly no Sammy Sasso. That's the Ben take. So I mean, this Hawkeye flip. I mean, Andy, do you take some credit for flipping Ben Askren from the Hawkeye hater? He's the biggest Hawkeye homer on this show now.
Yeah, he's all in. He's all in.
How has this happened? I mean, and why?
I just try to bring a realistic lens to the table. Nelson Brands, listen, he gave up one dumb set of back points. It was like a sit out, and he turned in the wrong way, or I don't really know what he was doing there. I'm not sure. I would advise him not to do that move again, whatever he was trying to do there. But he got taken down a total of 0 times in 14 minutes by Rocky Jordan and Max Lyon. He didn't get taken down. He doesn't get taken down very easily.
Okay.
But if I'm not mistaken, Ben was born in Iowa.
Oh, boy. They love bringing that up.
4 years.
And
I mentioned before the show, but 608 Madison area code. Usually we would be having our state tournament in Madison this week, but we're not. We are having a state tournament. It's in 3 separate locations, none of which being Dane County because Dane County is still locked down. So Madison, come on, open up, baby. Let us have a state tournament there.
So, yeah, how are y'all doing that? When is it?
So it's this weekend. It's at 3 separate high schools. And the other thing that really sucks is they cut the field in half. So there's 16 qualifiers, and there's only 8 this year. Not ideal.
Yeah, that stinks. Pennsylvania's doing the same thing.
And then they're only the one that they're getting a lot of heat for right now, Christian, is they're only allowing 2 spectators per qualifier. So there's 112 qualifiers per division. So that means 224 qualifiers. And yet the basketball gets to have 1,000 spectators. So they're catching quite a bit of heat over that one.
Yeah. They're a little well, speaking of movement, I guess the Olympic trials are getting moved out of Pennsylvania to a location TBD, but rumors swirling it's going to be in Texas, which is exciting news for Texans like us, but probably disappointing news for those in the hotbeds of wrestling.
Yeah,
Iowa, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania.
I kind of figured it was going to Iowa because Iowa's relatively open. Right in that same time period, they're going to be hosting postseason nationals and something else. So there will be stuff happening in Iowa, and Iowa's kind of been open, and I don't want to say stayed open, but relatively. So I kind of figured it was going to go there, and they've hosted them there before. Why didn't Iowa get the bid?
Yeah, I don't know. Andy, where would be some potential venue options for if they were going to have the trials in Iowa again?
Yeah, I don't know if Carver Hawkeye would be an option. Certainly Extreme, the Extreme Center there in Coralville, new arena where senior nationals were. Potentially Wells Fargo in Des Moines. NCAA championships were in 2013.
Oh, yeah.
Those would probably be the primary ones.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I figured it was going to go. Texas actually kind of surprised me. Oh, I mean, unless they're going to do a no spectators type thing.
No, that's why they're moving it, Ben. They're moving it because so they can have spectators, and they won't be able to in State College.
Really?
That's why they're moving it. Yeah, they sold.
I guess you guys did fill up Dake Derringer for like 1 match or 2 matches.
2 matches, yeah.
So
I think it would be. The rumors is Fort Worth.
Okay. Not in that same venue that held senior. I didn't like that venue very much.
I don't think that would make sense for trials because it was a good venue for that event because you had multiple mats.
Floor space.
Yep, I forgot you were at that. I don't think that would make a ton of sense personally, but who knows? Maybe they can reconfigure that and make it more of a intimate experience. But I think they sold like 16,000 tickets already for Olympic trials. So they're definitely going to...
Oh, they already got the money in the hand? Oh, they got to give the money back? Oh, that ain't no fun.
They are, and they
I didn't do that for wrestling camps.
Oh, really?
I gave $40,000 in refunds in like 3 days. It was brutal.
Oh, my gosh. Ouch. Yeah, so that's a lot of kind of... Unfortunately, we had a good run there where all our news was wrestling related and wrestling results related, but we've got trials are getting moved. Certainly that's COVID related. And then Iowa pauses activities for an undetermined amount of time. Obviously, Tom, did you not hear this?
When did this happen?
Yesterday night. You should. So
Monday night news dump? No, I didn't see this anywhere.
No, there's no Iowa Penn State this week.
Are you kidding me?
No, Ben, I can't believe you missed this. All right, we're breaking news
Stop.
to Ben. You don't know this? Yeah. So Tom.
Where did Flo announce it? I didn't see it on Twitter or anything.
Iowa announced it. We posted the story.
Freak, are you kidding me?
No jokes.
This is so dumb.
Everyone knows Tom had tested positive. Marinelli was out for COVID. Then Caleb Young, it was announced like Saturday or Sunday, I think, that he was out. And then yesterday they announced, hey, we're pausing everything.
The wrestling or the athletic department?
It's
wrestling.
I think it's wrestling only.
Yeah,
wrestling.
And
Dude.
Yeah. Okay. I can't believe you missed
How
that.
did I miss this?
I'm not sure.
My goodness.
We tried our darndest.
This is so terrible because how many weeks are till Big Tens?
3?
I guess they can be back by then, right?
They're gonna be back by then. I think that's what they're doing. I don't know. Have you heard anything?
I haven't. No.
Well, I know Mizzou's got the Cowboy Open, and I know a handful of guys are not going to that. And I think Coach Smith's gonna catch some heat, but then at the same time, like I thought I always try to think about weigh both sides, right? What if he took his full team and like 4 guys couldn't go to max because they got contact traced? Like you would look like an idiot. You literally can't do that. I mean, the negative is so negative that you can't even take that risk at all.
I think that's probably where Iowa is. If I had to guess, it's like, man, they were going to win last year, it was all but assured. And then this year they're huge favorites once again. It's like, man, let's just the ultimate caution you can display. I think that's what they're doing. Just let's get to Big Tens and NCAAs. Forget a Penn State duel. Forget another duel. Let's win this year and ensure it is to the highest degree.
Okay, Penn State's on their schedule for this Friday, and then Northwestern and Wisconsin are on for the following week. So that'd be 2 weeks from now. Are those canceled?
They said no. They didn't put any time frame on it, so I have no idea.
Yeah, and so the other thing that the Big Ten is interesting about the Big Tens. Remember, the contact tracing period is 17 days that they're forcing people to do, and the Big Tens is less than that from NCAAs, where the max they moved the max up a whole week, right? So the max are greater than 17 days away from the NCAA championships. So if someone were to be contact traced at the MAC championships, they would be eligible to compete by the time NCAAs come around. That same thing can't be said for the Big Tens, and it kind of makes me think, why is the Big Ten taking that risk? What if one dude in the bracket has it? He wrestled like 5 of them.
Well, you realize that the way they're doing the conference thing, they're saying you can miss conferences and still get into NCAAs, right? So maybe they're
sure, but if someone were to get sick on, say they wrestle Saturday, right, and they get sick on Sunday or Monday, and they test positive, right, that would retroactively affect what happened on Saturday and Sunday, and then all of those people whom they wrestled would be contacts.
Andy, do you have any idea how often Iowa wrestlers get tested? Is it like an everyday thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure on the frequency of it. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's daily in the Big Ten.
Man, yeah. I know it was like for Michigan, they just get tested constantly. But I didn't know if it was a Big Ten thing or that was a Michigan thing, because I know Michigan's like super cautious about it. Because, man, the nerves getting tested every day and waiting for that result every day. When you don't know how you're going to feel when you test positive. You could feel completely fine. I certainly, I tested positive in December, and I never had a single symptom. And just knowing that result holds your entire season in your hands, and you have to go through that every day. It's they got to be freaking out. But the release from Iowa said they're pausing all team-related in-person activities. So that's like no practice.
God.
They're not even, man, these guys are going to train or figure something out, but no practice. That's going to be totally insane.
Seriously. You think the guys are working on their own, or what do you think they're doing?
They got to do something. But I mean, are they? Do you have a wrestling training partner that you're scrapping with, or are you just doing cardio and stance in motion shadow wrestling?
Well, I'll tell you what college me would have done. College me would have wrestled with someone else on my team, and I would have not reported who I wrestled with.
Okay.
Right? I mean, that's what college me would have done. The national tournament's coming up a month away. I'm not going to not train, and I'm just not going to get contact traced because I'm not going to tell anyone who I'm working out with in an unspecified location. That's what I would have done when I was in college. I know that's probably not what people want to hear, but I'm a 21, 22-year-old athlete, and I'm probably not making the best decisions about that stuff, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. And you know what's interesting is we saw Penn State, their first action back, and we know they paused their activities for a while, and they didn't, we were kind of talking, that didn't look their best. And now, is that going to get pushed back and on to Iowa? Are they going to deal with the residual effects of not training? Wrestling's a sport where you need to train to be at your best, and pausing activities in 2 weeks. I mean, there's no amount of cardio that can really replicate the wrestling training.
Or the time. I mean, the timing is if you're actually not wrestling, the thing that would be the off, and at this level, as good as these guys are, the timing, right? The timing is just so important, and if you miss 3-4 weeks, the timing is going to be off.
Yeah.
For how long?
How long would it take to get your timing back? I mean, these guys probably not long, right? A week, 2 weeks, something like that. But I mean, we're kind of in crunch time, I feel like, and so it's not going to take them a long time to get the timing back, but they might not. They might not have a long time at all.
Yeah. Hey, so speaking of Iowa wrestling, I have kind of a funny story. So I was over the last couple months, I've done a sort of a purge of my social media and accounts, and kind of like a lot of unfollowing, a lot of like preventing people from following me and stuff like that. And so I was going through and kind of like paring down my list, and I was reminded that when I started my Twitter, when I got on Twitter in 2009. Basically to follow Iowa wrestling, the very first person I followed was Andy Hamilton.
Wow. Look at that, ahead of Jordan Burroughs.
Ahead of Burroughs. Look, I followed Andy Hamilton, then JB.
That's awesome.
What's funny, I don't know how Rutgers wrestling is in the top 5 there before Iowa, because I have to assume, so this is 2009, this is like peak fantasy wrestling, Christian Piles, that time. So maybe I was trying to get some information on like DJ Russo or Mario Mason or something weird like that. But I thought it was funny that like, because if you know a little bit about my story and coming up how I became like obsessed with wrestling, I read A Season on the Mat, really started following Iowa wrestling really heavily, and basically at that time, if you wanted to follow, and to this day, if you want to follow Iowa wrestling, you need to be following what Andy Hamilton's writing. You were kind of like the authority and source on Hawkeye wrestling. So I think it's really cool and funny. Now 12 years later, we're sitting beside each other and going to be working together. So
that is funny.
I thought that was funny. I thought it was cool, and I just kind of wanted to share that.
Take that, JB.
Yeah, Jordan, in your face. Yeah.
Wait,
funny.
What, Andy? Are you the author of A Season on the Mat, or is it?
No, I can't take credit for that. I've read it 5 times probably, but Nolan Zavarol wrote that.
Got it.
Great book.
Hey, are we going to talk about this Iowa-Ohio State duel? Because it was kind of fun. I just caught up with it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Where do you want to start?
Jay Nyerman.
Okay, go get it. You love
it. So obviously these guys, I think they were going back on social media this summer, back and forth. And I think we almost had them in a freestyle match, which, I mean, I would still be interested to see them in a freestyle match.
Yeah.
So Jaden gets takedown in a second, and then boldly top goes straight Jake Patterson, chooses top, and then decks him within like 30 seconds. I think that is very indicative of how much of a liability bottom position is for Anthony Etchemendia. That Jaden was that confident and then followed through. And then on top of that, I think he also hurt his ankle on that cradle. If you look for, there's like a split second time when all their weight is on the ankle. And we actually really warn about that when we teach that cradle at camp and stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if his ankle's hurting for the next few weeks.
Yeah. So one, you're correct. He's going to be a tremendous liability underneath. And Jaden Ironman is going to accentuate all your bottom deficiencies. But I did think it was an interesting 4 minutes of neutral wrestling, because Echemendia was doing a good job. He would shoot a single and come up with a seatbelt. He had a couple of times he almost had Ironman lifted off the mat, but he couldn't get that takedown. There was a nice slide by Merkel position where Ironman got the takedown late in the second, and then he almost took him over at the end with a half. It was pretty brutal looking, and then he took top, and it was going to be big trouble there. I don't know how hurt Echemendia is. I felt like, I don't know. Seems like he's sort of hurt at the end of a lot of his matches that he loses.
I can't speak to that, but I could tell you if you watch that clip, and I don't think that we can on the program.
No.
We warn about that very specific thing when we're teaching cradles, and all of the weight goes on the ankle. You see the ankle flex to the inside. He definitely. I can't speak to how bad it's hurt. He definitely hurt his ankle. I don't know how bad it was.
Yeah,
for sure, no doubt.
Okay, so we talked about that. Kind of a bummer. 125. We're supposed to see Schroeder versus Spencer, and then we're supposed to see Malik versus Spencer. And I know it's okay, are we really going to learn anything in those matches? No, but see him wrestle someone else that's maybe, especially Schroeder, who's Big Ten finalist and someone who started the season ranked number 2. But we don't see that match because Spencer doesn't wrestle. The jokes were actually funny about that one. Cody Arnold, I think, was the first person I saw. I said, "What do you think about Terry Brand's first move as Iowa coach is benching Spencer Lee?" And then Andy theorized that he lost a wrestle off to Aaron Cashman, which we're not confirming that, but
I can't take credit for that. I think that was somebody else that I'm just relaying.
Okay, he's relaying it. Well, he's the first person to it, so you're the originator to me. But yeah, we didn't get to see Spencer versus anyone marquee, and the poor dang Kuntz brothers. They get thrown out for Spencer Lee and Austin DeSanto, the first period pin for Spencer, and DeSanto smashes him by tech. So it was a rough start, and Ohio State sort of had an opportunity to make it interesting late, but then when Nelson beat Rocky, and then Chase Singletary, man, I think you've got to. Because it was interesting going into that 97 match, Warner didn't look great against Panola. He gassed really badly, and it's Chase Singletary's kind of a guy. We'll see how he looks. And he just did not look. I watched that match. I'm like, they cannot go with him. They have to go with Hoffman. I just don't think he's going to be a solution for them at 197. I think he's probably a heavyweight at best. I don't know what it is. Do you have a diagnosis there, Ben?
For Chase Singletary?
Yeah.
He just needs to get better at wrestling.
Okay, wow.
I mean, he's solid, but when we're talking about, here's the thing, right?
He did not look solid to me. I would not have described that performance as solid.
When we're talking about Ohio State, there's an expectation that you compete as a top 10 to 15 guy, and when you're not a top to 10, 15 guy and you're in Ohio State's lineup, you're a liability. And so, yeah, he's not very good. He's not going to score points at nationals. He wasn't great at heavyweight. And I don't think Ohio State's going to score a lot of points at 197 pounds. And they have both Hoffman or Singletary, who are high-level high school wrestlers. They have not translated it to the next level at all. And one thing I was actually thinking about is Ohio State, and maybe tell me if I'm being biased. Well, I like Ohio State, so I don't know why I'd be biased against them. But I feel like they've had a handful of guys who've had liabilities on bottom, and they haven't really gotten much better. Malik Heinzelman didn't choose bottom against Devin Schrader and lost the match there. Obviously, you had the Jordan brothers, all three of them. Who else? There was someone else I was thinking that was pretty bad on bottom from Ohio State.
I'm
blanking right now.
Nato was okay. He frequently.
Nato was good.
NATO, I don't know, but it's definitely been a thing that's been sort of prevalent in the discussion that they've struggled to get away in some big matches and key times. And the Jordan brothers obviously had their issues going under or choosing neutral and losing.
Gator, sorry.
Well, he's Listen,
Well, he's been there for a year and a half, Christian. He's been there for a year and a half now.
I know, but he had no mat game whatsoever in high school. None. He was just a freestyle guy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I put that on him. But yeah,
well,
it's been an issue.
So maybe he doesn't want to work hard. But if Jordan, and I don't know Jordan Decatur at all. If Jordan Decatur comes to Ohio State University and he wants to be good at wrestling, and he's trying, and I don't know the answer to this. I don't know if he is or is not. Right? Maybe he doesn't want to be there. There's kids that get to this level and they don't want to work hard anymore and don't want to be there. But if he does want to work hard, in 18 months, you should be able to get someone relatively good at bottom, especially if they're already a high-level wrestler.
I don't know. See, I go back and forth on this because I feel like the Jordan brothers are the epitome of desire and work ethic, etc. There was just something they weren't able to unlock with their work ethic, their ability.
But this is okay. So this is what I have no idea what Ohio State is practicing every day. But this is the thing where it's like this is where I go off on some college wrestling coaches because it's like, okay, well, Christian, if I told you to run 10 miles a day, are you working hard? And the answer is obviously. Mm-hmm. But are you getting any better at wrestling? And the answer is, well, obviously not. You're really not getting any better at wrestling. And so you could wrestle neutral all day long. That's not going to help you on bottom. And so if there needs to be a high level of focus on bottom position, and I have a really hard time because I've seen other college wrestlers, I've seen high school wrestlers. If you really put a huge emphasis, I am going to get away on bottom, or I am going to finish single leg, whatever area that is your pain position. If you put a lot of focus on that and you have intent, you're going to get better there.
I don't disagree, but I cannot come to the conclusion that these smart wrestlers and smart coaches said we're fine there. I feel like they worked at it. I mean, I don't know it, but
okay, I can tell you for a fact. And I've been around a lot of college programs. There are some that don't work a lot of technique. I mean, the specific one that is neglected the most, and it's because college coaches are uncomfortable, is the scrambles, like head in the middle, lift the single leg, and then how do you finish from there? Mm-hmm. That position is so neglected, and it's so obvious because a lot of coaches aren't comfortable teaching that position, and they would rather just say drill, single leg, high crotch, and it's like, yeah, but the guys could already shoot single legs and high crotches,
right?
Like, get better, right? Figure out how to win these positions that you're not winning. Like you're not winning because you're not in shape enough. You're not winning because you're not strong enough. You're not winning because you can't get off bottom. You're not winning because you can't finish a single leg when they force you to lift middle.
Yeah.
Right. So I can tell you for sure. I can't say for sure bottom's been neglected. I could tell you, well, no, I can't. Under the previous leadership of the University of Wisconsin, they were awful on bottom. And you could go back and watch them. And I can tell you that position was not worked a whole bunch under that leadership.
I feel like Minnesota had a time back when they had some really good teams where they just had some really good wrestlers that struggled to get away. I feel like Jason Ness at times had a hard time getting away. Like it was like a kind of a theme with their team. They just couldn't get away consistently. I don't know. I don't have a lot of insight. I mean, I tend to just side with you on wrestling, technique opinions, but with some of them, I feel like, they're not paying enough attention to it. With some, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe there's aspects of wrestling where some guys you're just not going to get great at, right? And I don't know why bottom can't be that thing, right?
I don't see why. I don't see why you're saying that. Like, why can someone not be good at bottom if they want to be good at bottom? Like, what physical limitation or mental liability do they have where they can't do that? What are you trying to say is holding them back?
So I don't know that. I guess what I'm saying is like everyone's gonna have holes in their games. You had holes in your games that you weren't able to,
as a folk style wrestler.
Well, no.
I mean, I could tell you my one liability. I had one liability. It's against a really good double leg, and thankfully, no one in my last 2 years shot a really good double leg. And that was my liability.
Right.
But
okay. So take that. Take that.
Okay.
That's not something that. I'm sure you knew that was a weakness. You knew that your vulnerabilities with guys like Pendleton, right? Mm-hmm. And you worked at them, but for whatever reason, that was something you weren't able to completely solve as a part of your wrestling puzzle. Like you were so complete in almost every other area, but even you had a liability. So I'm just like, okay, maybe for certain guys, that's just the area they're not able to unlock for whatever reason.
But you're saying, so like, okay, so for me, the reason I was bad at defending a double leg was because I'm extremely slow twitch, and just those guys who were able to keep space and get to me. And listen, I did a relatively good job at closing space, not letting people attack from the outside, that kind of thing. And so it wasn't a huge liability, despite the fact that it was a little bit, right? But and so that was like, I cannot get myself to be fast twitch. There's just no way. But on bottom, right, if you're fast twitch, you can hit a fast sit out, you can hit a fast stand up. There's moves you can hit, right? If you're slow twitch, there's certain moves you can hit, right? So you can make yourself, you can craft your bottom game to your body's abilities to make yourself as good a bottom as you want. It's just the coach needs to work with the athlete and say, okay, what kind of athlete are you? Now, so you could argue, well, if they get there and they're bad on bottom, yes, it will be harder, especially at that level, to get good at it because you're wrestling high. So like, Anthony Etchemendia would be the perfect example. The guy's never done bottom, literally. So he's about as bad as he can get. He could get good at bottom if there's enough, if he works at it and works at it and works at it. The problem is a lot of guys hate working at the thing they're bad at.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
Ben, how much is it mentality versus technique on the bottom?
Well, so I think the mentality is that I'm going to take this thing I'm uncomfortable at and not good at, and I'm just going to work at it, and I'm going to work at it, and work at it. And like I said, even at a high level, people don't like doing things they're bad at. Everyone likes doing things they're already good at. And so they say, especially like off season, right? So say we go, April, May, we go into freestyle, but then June, summer hits, and you have this kind of summer period. I mean, how many of those guys are actually really focused on the bottom position versus like, hey, let's just go in and just wrestle around and work out? Like most of them are just going in and wrestling around and working out. Maybe pumping some iron and getting strong, which, hey, that's their choice, but they ain't going to get you better on bottom or whatever position you suck at. There has to be a very focused effort on what you're not good at, and a lot of college athletes don't want to do that because it's not fun. It's not fun. It's absolutely not.
Yeah, and I understand it, and I just feel like with the Jordan brothers in particular, it's like those guys knew how to freaking suffer and work and train, and that was like part of their thing. Like these were really hard working guys. So I don't know. There's multiple pieces to the puzzle for sure. Bracky's giggling?
Oh no, nothing. It's unrelated.
Unrelated? We got unrelated.
He's salty because Ohio got whooped by Kent State.
Oh my! Did any of our Tuesday headlines come true? Other than I pretty much nailed the Murin beating Sasso. That was close. I was right there.
What was Ben's?
What was Ben's?
I said mine was way wrong. I said Iowa blanks Ohio State.
Yeah, well,
terrible.
I guess that was yeah.
I'll tell you what is impressive about what Iowa did this weekend. The fact that they're still scoring 30 points on these teams. Like against Purdue, they didn't wrestle Spencer Lee. They didn't have Caleb Young. They didn't have Alex Mornelli. They still scored 30 points. And against Ohio State, they don't have their starting 57 to 65 and still score 30 points.
Yeah.
The one match we haven't talked about. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say when you get 16 to start the duel, or what was it? 12 plus 5. That's even
17.
more. Yeah, more than that. 17 to start the duel. You're well on your way. What were you gonna say, Ben?
I was gonna say the one match we haven't talked about is actually the one that is the most interesting to me of this whole bunch for a multitude of reasons. And you skipped over it. Caleb Romero versus Michael Kemmerer. Okay, very interesting because, Michael Kemmerer did not get a takedown on Caleb Romero. I did not see that coming. Caleb Romero keeps getting better and better and better. He's someone under Ohio State who's gotten way better than he was. I mean, I was not impressed a couple years back, and now he's so good. He kind of hurts his ankle, and because he hurt his ankle, he got pushed out like 3 times in a row and got a stall point. And then the only other point was because it didn't even look purposeful to me because I don't know why you'd grab someone's headgear there, but he was kind of like overtied, right? Kemmerer's collar tie, he was overtied, and his like thumb got caught in the headgear. It appeared, and he
know.
gave up a point because of that.
It looked pretty grabby to me. I mean, he was.
But why would you grab it? I mean, why would you grab it there? It was weird.
I don't know why, but he was definitely in there. It looked like it was more than just the thumb in there, and it was in there for a while. I don't know. I mean, that was to me the bigger point is that Kemmerer couldn't get a takedown, and not only could he not get a takedown, Romero was completely hobbled the last minute and a half of that match, and he couldn't get a takedown. And Kemmerer is one of these guys. He's not quite Spencer level, but he shoots in the first 2 seconds of almost every match, and he often scores. And so I think Romero presents an athletic and positional challenge for Kemmerer that's going to exist, and that's going to exist at Big Tens, and who knows if they'll hit and NCAAs, but he's going to be a guy that Kemmerer is a wrestler for me. This is my kind of opinion. Is like he's going to thrive in the exchanges, and the more exchanges there are, he may give up a takedown, but I think he'll come on top of most of them. What Romero does, he limits the exchanges, right? He can work well from space in a way that's not stalling, even though he was definitely stalling at the end there because he was so hobbled. But he can wrestle from space really well and pick his spots. Now, I don't know how he'll ever take down Kemmerer. After the double that Kemmerer ate from Romero, I mean, stood him straight up. Kemmerer must have just the freakiest tips.
He looks very powerful.
So I don't know if Romero will ever be able to take him down. That maybe won't happen. But he is going to be in matches with Kemmerer.
Yeah, without the headgear thing and without the ankle injury, that's 1-1 going to overtime.
Yes.
That's interesting. I didn't see that coming at all.
No, me either. I didn't see it coming at all. And Romero, he is one of these guys. And I think Ethan Smith's looked really, really great as well. Did he lose to a Bronigal early, Racky?
Yep.
So he lost to Bronigal. I love that I just say a Bronigal, but I just can't remember if it's Danny or Zach.
Danny's light, the 65, Zach 84.
Okay. Little Danny, big Zach. Okay. I'll try to remember that. So he loses to Danny Bronigal. I don't know. I wanted Bracky had quite a dilemma at the 84 and 97 rankings. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit. Because 84 was crazy this week, Ben. I don't know if you followed the results much, but it kind of broke it.
I mean, the Virginia Tech, I'm surprised you guys didn't lead the show with Virginia Tech.
Well, I wanted to. If you look at the document, it's right there towards the top. But the resident ACC hater, Ben Askren, doesn't want to talk about.
Andy loves Iowa wrestling too, and Andy's our guest, so I figured we need to talk about Iowa wrestling. Andy doesn't want to talk about the ACC. Tell him, Andy.
I want to talk ACC, Ben.
Oh, wow. Dunked. Listen, last year, I'm sorry, Big Ten fans, I was at Iowa Penn State. That was amazing. That was a great duel. We were there. But Virginia Tech NC State was a better duel last year from an entertainment perspective. And it set the bar again this year with the 17-16 criteria victory, as predicted on FRL. And it could have happened in more dramatic fashion. And Ben, you watched this duel, and so many little things had to go Tech's way for them to win this duel. They were the underdogs here, and they had to win 2 razor-thin toss-ups at 84 and 125. Bolin just figures out a way to get that riding time just enough, and Hidley can't hold him down. I don't know what your thoughts on that match were, Ben.
I mean, that was so. What did he win by, like a minute and a couple of riding
4
time?
seconds.
It wasn't
not much.
It wasn't much. The takedown on the edge was very close at the end. I guess I just think after watching that again, I know I picked Trent Hidley. It's gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be like that every single time, and it probably has been to this point, right? Every single match has been like that close.
Yes, they've all been like 1-pointers or something.
Yes.
I think and man, I don't in the with the Bolin Hidley match, Hidley was so close on that takedown on the edge, and if there had been more mat space, maybe he gets that finish. But Bolin's he's just going to be a tough matchup for him, no matter what. But they're going to hit again at ACCs in all likelihood, and good chance that they'll wrestle at the NCAA tournament as well. Just they're so highly ranked. And we'll see how 84 shakes out seating wise, because with Aaron Brooks and Miles Amin hasn't wrestled yet. Are we going to see him? Is he going to go 84? I think he goes 97, but we have him ranked at 84.
Wait, we still don't know. Wait. It's February 9 and we don't know what Miles Amin's going?
We have him ranked at 84. Maybe that's where he's going.
He's listed at 84 on the roster, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so maybe he does. But I also remember vividly the interview this summer where he said, I need to stay above my Olympic weight, which is 189. And it doesn't make sense for me to cut 5 pounds under that. So I don't know. We'll see. And he hasn't wrestled a match yet. And hopefully they wrestle Ohio State. I'm kind of getting off on a tangent here. We're trying to focus on this thing.
I still think 97 is not as good as 84. When you look at Baldwin, Hidlay, DePrez, Brooks, top 5, that's a really solid top 5.
Well, yeah. 197 is not near as good as 84, in my opinion. Then I was going to talk about the conclusion for the Virginia Tech NC State. Camacho looks solid. He's wrestled a pretty defensive match, more defensive than I would have expected, because Camacho, if you watch him this year, he's been a dynamo on his feet. Attack. Yeah. He scored a counter, stall points kind of played a factor in the match, and then Latona down 1 late, gets the single. And you said when we were texting, Camacho didn't need to do the dive roll. I thought he needed to. What? Explain there.
Well, we can't bring it up on the screen, can we?
No, we'll go to jail.
So I thought
it's on Twitter. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll pull it in.
Okay. Well, I would like to watch it. I thought he could have squared and faced him, and it's not like you got to waste a lot of time. There was maybe 5 seconds left on the clock at that point.
Yeah.
So if you can, turn square and put your hips in and hands out and balance for another 5 seconds, man, I think that would have been a much better course of action. Obviously, Camacho's got to decide the heat of the moment. So me as an armchair quarterback, it's probably a little easier for me to make that comment than him doing it in the moment. But yeah, I thought he could have squared up and balanced for a few more seconds and not give him a takedown.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought and Bracky, I think, is sending it to Tyler. I thought the way that Latona had the single, and with Latona's length, he is so big for that weight. And I think Camacho's probably Camacho looks like a career 25 to me. I don't know. He doesn't look that big. So I think that the way he had the single leg cinched up, I don't think there was any squaring up that.
Well, if I remember right, it was the single leg was on the outside of the body, and he picks it up really high. Okay, here we got it. I think. Can we make this full screen?
It's coming.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, this is from the ACC network. So check this out. So down 4-3.
Okay, so hold on. There's 10 seconds left right now. Okay, so hold on there. Can we pause that? Stop right there.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Rewind like half a second. Okay, so he's in this outside shin wizard position right here, right? And there's only 7 seconds left. This is where, I feel like Camacho could have turned and faced. And by the time he turns and faces, there's going to be 6 seconds left. And you got to balance for 6 seconds left. And diving under is not a terrible decision, but it's, obviously it costs him the match here. And it is sometimes tough to get to.
And, you're seeing more. And it feels like in 2014, everyone was able to hit that pass and get to the stalemate position every single time. And now it's desperation when you're going for it. You rarely see guys able to do it and not get burnt for it, or they're so set up for it. I don't know because I remember watching Clark and Delgado. And first of all, that was just an electric finish there for that duel. But I remember watching Clark and Delgado. And Clark would have like a standing single. I think this was their Big Ten match. And it's like so obvious that Jesse's going to dive. What is the technical evolution there that people weren't having then, that now it's like, man, it's not going to work anymore? Well,
this was my complaint with the Iowa room. Andy, don't get too mad at me. But if no one in your room is doing this, you never get a feel for it.
Yeah. Right?
And defending it actually is not all that hard. There's 2 ways. Number 1, you move, which is a timing issue. Or number 2, and this is what Sam Latona did, you put a lot of weight on that foot. And if you put a lot of weight on that foot and or leg, right, they can't move it. And so then they get stuck there. Mm-hmm. And so the defense to it is not all that hard. But if you've never felt it, you don't know what to do. So if no one in your room is doing these moves, you're not going to be able to defend them. So there has to be a recognition and a familiarity with the moves.
Okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so Latona with that win. Okay, so here's the ultimate drama, because not only did they needed that to tie the team score, right? And then you're kind of rolling the dice if they have to add up the total match points for the criteria thing. So he gets 2 swipes right at the very end. And those 2 swipes.
I didn't even realize that.
Yes. The near fall swung the duel, Ben. So if Camacho just gets taken down regularly, NC State still wins the duel. But because he got the swipes alongside, Virginia, the Hokies win.
Wow. No, I didn't even realize. Oh, my gosh. Freaking Sam Latona, the hero that Virginia Tech needs.
Yeah, freshman. And now, Ben, young Samuel, ranked number 2 in the nation.
Yeah, can I make a Tuesday headline?
Okay.
All right. Jacob Camacho or Sam Latona will be in the NCAA finals opposite Spencer Lee.
Yep.
Yeah, I like it. I mean,
That's going to happen.
I remember at RTC Cup, we were talking about, we may have mentioned it on FRL, probably at some point. We're like, man.
We did. We talked about it on FRL.
We're like, these guys are outside. We said Latona is outside shot at making the finals for sure. And then we talked about it with, we had the Hokie coaching staff, Coach Frere, like, they felt the same. They're like, yeah, we think he's that good. And his length is a problem. What I like about Sam's, what I like about Jacob is, like, they can win matches in a lot of different ways. They can win on top. They can win with their riding. They get out on bottom. They're really good in a lot of different areas. And you got to feel like if Latona wins ACC, I don't know how they're seeded. Seeding's going to be a mess. And how much they'll respect a win over Camacho, I don't know. But he should be opposite. I mean, the sweepstakes for the NCAA seeds is being opposite Spencer Lee. That's just where you want to be.
But wait, so Latona's undefeated, correct, this year?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Camacho's got 1 loss. So if Camacho were to win, they would both only have 1 loss. I mean, it's so hard with this year. So is anyone else going to be undefeated? I mean, no one in the Big Ten besides Spencer will be, obviously.
Right.
Anybody else? Courtney or Hildebrandt?
Courtney
could be undefeated. Hildebrandt could be undefeated.
Teskey.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Oh, Brody Teskey.
Yeah, Teskey. All those guys are in different conferences.
Wow. So actually, whoa.
Excuse me. So Courtney, I don't know who's going to touch him at the Pac-12. I mean, he doesn't have anything coming up, does he?
They have something coming up. I'm looking right now. I think they go to Iowa State, and they might hit UNI in that.
Okay. Central Michigan schedule.
That'd be interesting. But then with people sitting on the bench, you never know who's going to wrestle. I mean, look what happened every weekend. I was going to say last weekend, but now every weekend this year.
This Sunday, Arizona State wrestles Northern Iowa and Iowa State.
All right, and looking at, so Drew Hildebrandt will be undefeated going into Max in all likelihood. They've got Cleveland State, Edinburgh, and Buffalo. So he ain't losing. And then at Max, unless could Connor Brown.
He's already lost to Hildebrandt once.
Yeah, he would have.
Close though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was tight. Connor Brown's good. We're kind of Connor Brown guys here on FRL. Whatever team he wrestles for, and wherever he wrestles next year, we'll probably cheer for him. It doesn't matter. We like Connor Brown. It's fine.
7-5 sudden victory.
7-5 sudden victory. Okay, that's pretty interesting. So if he can avenge that takes one potential undefeated guy. So it seems like there's a good chance that Drew Hildebrandt, Brandon Courtney seems the most likely to be undefeated.
Well, he has Teskey this weekend.
Okay. Will we see some trickeration? Will anyone maybe a strategic holdout here?
I was going to say if there's 2 other undefeateds, behind Spencer, Spencer's obvious one. There's 2 and 3. Do you somehow try to lose to go down to the 6th seed? So you're honestly, not the 4 or 5 opposite Spencer.
It would be preferable, but it's good. It's tough. It's tough to rig it that way because how do you know? Yes. How do you know how they're going to come up with it?
I don't know.
Yeah, you have no idea. So that's 25 seeding is going to be fascinating. Because if you get the 4, That's a rough Friday evening for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm really impressed with Latona. He's really strong. Someone actually asked a question. I don't know if you put it in the doc. I don't even know if we'll get the questions today. But typically, so I always think when I think about how strong Spencer is, I think about who Anthony Robles liked to wrestle because that was, I was the most comparable of getting wrists and then scoring a whole bunch of points once they get the wrist. And he always had an easy time with guys who are taller just because the leverage factor. And he always had a tougher time with guys who are like shorter and a little stronger. And so Latona is long. He does look kind of strong, but I feel like he's going to have a really tough time. Well, kind of everyone does, right? Except maybe Dayton and Nick Soriano and Nate Tomasello, keeping Spencer out of the positions that Spencer wants to be in.
He's not going to have any answers for Spencer. I don't think he's got this. I don't think. I mean, there's no one that really matches up well, but I don't think he's the guy. Personally,
yeah. They said Robert Finkel said Taylor Lamont is also undefeated.
Yeah, Bracky.
Yeah.
So that'll be going into Big 12s.
I mean, I don't know.
Bracky was lamenting, some places have Lamont really high, and last year at 33 he was not great. He needed remember they created a match. I forgot about this.
They created a fake match and screwed a kid out of an NCAA tournament berth.
What do you mean?
They said that at the Big 12s last year there would be no true ninth place matches before the tournament. And then Taylor Lamont goes 0-2 and he doesn't have an automatic bid, and he didn't wrestle like a full season. He was still like 17-7 or something like that. He would have gotten a wild card, and I think Utah Valley was very nervous about him getting a wild card and wanted to do this true ninth place match. So they completely reversed course and changed the rules that they said they were going to do before the tournament and gave Lamont this true ninth place match so he could qualify for NCAAs.
Wow.
Typical Utah Valley calling the shots in the Big 12.
It makes no sense, but it happened.
It happened.
Yeah, he's undefeated.
He's 6-0 this year.
Yeah, but
so he would hit
Teskey, Mastro. He hasn't hit a lot of the top of the Big 12.
So Big 12 will only have one undefeated guy, probably. Looks like.
Yes.
Someone will lose. Maybe they all lose. Maybe Teskey loses to Courtney, and then Teskey beats Lamont, and
yeah, potential.
I don't know. Who do you think wins that? Who do you think wins, Teskey or Courtney? Andy?
Intrigued to see. It's a big test for Brody.
Yeah.
Biggest to date, right?
I mean, how about what were your thoughts? You probably followed Brody throughout his career. Just seeing him, what he's been able to become at UNI. Just thoughts on his track.
I think it's more in line with what I thought he'd be coming out of high school. I mean, just for whatever reason, didn't work at Penn State, and found a home. Got all those Fort Dodge guys with him back hour and a half from home. I think it's just a really good fit for him with Doug and his staff, and it's a little bit more of the version of Brody Teskey I thought we'd see in college.
It was interesting. I remember during his recruitment, watching him, I'm like, okay, I like him. I think he's a scrapper. It looks like he needs some work. He's gonna be good. But the thing was, Kale and Coach Brands both wanted this guy in the worst way. They both were like, this guy is obviously Iowa had Spencer Lee. But they're like, they'll figure it out with Brody, and Kale really liked him. They ultimately got him. So everyone saw all this potential in Brody, and I was like, well, I don't know that I don't see it, but it's not jumping off the page for me. It's not jumping off the screen that this guy's going to be this awesome wrestler. And then, turns out this is basically his freshman year, and he's really, really good. And he's, going to contend for All-American status. So, they're the pros. But that was just an interesting thing because I remember, like, okay, everyone's going to want Nick Bouzakis and everyone's going to want Shane Van Ness, and you see it. But with Brody, it's a guy he lost at Super 32 his senior year when a lot of people thought he was going. Right? Yeah, I don't even know if he placed. If he placed, he definitely lost a couple times his senior year. And that was just surprising to me. But now look what he's become. It's pretty cool. Okay. So we were talking about Virginia Tech, but we just kind of, in typical FRL
we got
fashion.
125. That was
That was the
good
thing.
organic conversation there, Mr. Piles.
Okay, good. Glad you thought.
Hey, can
so.
I tell you one thing that I love, and I think you guys are gonna agree with me that you love this.
Okay.
And I don't even know if there's a different rule this year or something that is making this happen, but people are just changing weights all the time. Like Ridge Lovett wrestled up at 149 pounds. Patel was up at 141. And is there some rule that's making it easier for these guys to switch up and down this year? Because it seems to me it's happening more frequently than I noticed in other years. And I'm thinking maybe obviously because maybe certain guys on teams are contact traced, and so they're shifting lineups around to be effective for duels.
I don't think any rules have changed. I mean, if Patel wrestles up at 41, if he weighed in at 41, then he's got to. Okay. They follow the same descent plans.
So I thought maybe there was some kind of pass given due to the circumstances. We've seen Shane Griffith bump up. I just feel like it's happening more this year than in traditional years, and maybe it's because some of these guys like. Ridge Lovett, he doesn't have a starting spot because he's behind Chad Red. So whatever, I'll go up another weight class. Maybe it's something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He might be starting 149 because he kicked that dude's butt.
Yeah. You think? What do you think, Bracky?
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't put it out as a realm possibility, but I mean, Brock Hardy's still a top 25 guy.
Yeah.
I mean, Ridge Lovett was really good last year, and I wouldn't rule it out, but I would still probably favor Brock Hardy.
Yeah, it's
a big match.
Man, it's a bummer Ridge can't make 33 anymore because they could have really used him this year.
Yeah, they're struggling down there.
Yeah, it's tough.
The other match in that duel, Nebraska versus Michigan State. So the Big Ten Plus doesn't have. The duel starts and Sajamaling and I don't remember the Michigan. They're wrestling, right? The 33-pound match is happening. You cannot watch the 125 match, which was 14-13, and I really wanted to watch it.
Yeah,
Foley and Cronin. But Schultz Caffey was fun, and I guess I really like Caffey. But the big takeaway for me was, how are the referees not calling stalling more frequently when people are going out of bounds? I feel like percentage-wise, they're doing this number. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to say every time, but Caffey went out of bounds a lot. And I think – I don't even know he got a stalling point. I think he got one warning, and that was it, right? Because Schultz had 2 takedowns and 2 escapes, and he had 6 points. So he didn't get a stalling point.
No, it was strange to me because Caffey comes out, he gets a single leg takedown almost immediately. Yep. And then he didn't gas. He didn't seem like, he's exhausted, but he could not control or hold center against Schultz at all. And he was getting moved around and going out of bounds a ton. I mean, I was really kind of feeling for Nebraska there. They have not been on the good end of some calls this season. And I thought they should have hit Caffey well earlier than they did. He ultimately got hit, but I think to your point, I don't think he ever gave up a stall point. And
he went out of bounds so many times, Christian. I mean, it had to be close to 10 times he went out of bounds.
They need a dang step out point or something. It's got to just be more black and white. It'd be so much simpler.
I kind of thought he thought he was maybe doing freestyle because he kept making himself grounded. Did you notice that?
Yes, he did ground himself one time. He was like in short offense. He just
trying to be grounded.
I mean, it is kind of interesting because you can't back when he just kind of dropped right on the edge and it's hard to circle around. So the thing with the edge rule, if you back straight out and you don't circle back in, it's a thing. But if you just drop yourself, you don't technically back all the way out. So it was a weird tactic. But Schultz must have really good pressure that he puts on guys. And his
pressure was outstanding in that match.
Yeah. And I think, Caffey, and what was interesting, Caffey's like a Greco guy, right? He should be, you feel like in the hand fight, he'd be okay. He was getting moved around in a lot of different positions, a lot of control ties. It was strange.
That was a fun match. So Cam Caffey's fun because he is, he's very creative in his defenses and unique, and we saw that on the edge. But I
didn't think he looked all particularly. Yeah, the takedown he gave up, he looked he wasn't able to present the kind of scrambling problems he presents for like he gave Abe Assad when they wrestled.
Yeah. Yeah, and he did that quite a bit. I mean, he won a whole bunch of matches last year against really good guys. Which I think we're on the 97. You guys want to talk about I can't believe this stat, but Noah Adams was the first and only number one guy to lose this year. That's kind of insane.
It is insane, but when you think about how few matches there are, it's less insane, right?
Yeah.
How few of the best guys are hitting. Well, no one at 25 is going to lose. Our number one at 133 has not wrestled, so that makes it easier.
Eligible tomorrow.
Yep, Dayton's going to be back, so that's exciting.
Okay.
41, Sebastian Rivera. He has not hit. He would have hit Nick Lee, right? They were supposed to duel, but that didn't happen.
Yep.
So that would have potentially disrupted. Sammy Sasso, he could have lost. That would have been one, but he did not. He's winning. Ryan Deacon, we've hardly seen. How many matches
have we seen him at all?
We haven't seen him. So, okay, we have two number ones that haven't wrestled. That seems problematic.
Seabass has got 4 matches.
Makai Lewis, the guys that can beat him are not on his schedule. Although Kennedy Monday got darn close. Kemmerer, he was close with Romero. He would have hit Labriola, but they held him out that match. 84, our number one at 84 has not wrestled.
Oh my gosh.
Eric Schultz, okay, he's been battle tested. He beat Jacob Warner and Cam Caffey. And then Gable Stevenson, he will not lose to anyone on earth probably in the next year or so.
No.
He pinned Luffman in 34 seconds.
Yes,
that was awesome. And then
he's getting quite theatrical.
I didn't particularly like his dance. I think he should work on his dance moves. But I like that. He tried to have a little celebration there.
What did he dance?
Well, it was like some little move. He's getting down here and pointing at someone. And listen, what do you want to call it, Brack?
That was not dance. It was theatrics. Yeah, it was dramatic.
Theatrics.
I like the runoff though.
I do too.
It's original, it's fun.
Yeah, he did the little heel click this time too, off the mat.
Did you see the heel click?
I did not catch the heel click. He pins him and then listen. Okay, it's not a dance. Fair enough. I mischaracterized it there, but he gets down and I don't know who the heck he was pointing at, but he was pointing at somebody and they did a little thing and then boom.
Well,
ran off.
People gave him crap last week because he just ran off the mat against Rutgers and didn't shake hands, even though I don't know if you're supposed to or not.
Yeah,
this year
you can wrestle him. Just do not. No palm to palm contact.
So he did the little pause, and then he was looking to see if Luffman was going to shake his hand, and then he saw Luffman walking away, so he ran off.
Yes.
Hey, did we talk about Cable's technique video last week online?
Oh my gosh. No. I think he dropped that after the Thursday FRL. Yeah, Gable.
So good.
I mean, you and
you just showed the proper way to do a thigh pry, Christian.
I figure every Gable comment or discussion is going to be followed up by a little Mr. Fast Twitch update. Mr. Fast Twitch now ranked. AJ Ferrari beat Jacob Woodley. He's ranked 14th now, so Ben can stop yelling about that.
That match is not available online anywhere. I couldn't find it.
It's unfortunate. Because that would have been a very anticipated match to watch. I even signed up for YouTube TV free trial, and then when I realized I didn't get that match, I immediately unsubscribed from YouTube TV. It was worth a shot.
Hey, you mentioned it, Christian, and I forgot that I had it, but the Hulu Live is clutch.
Yeah, it's good. It has Big Ten Network and ACC Network.
ACC, yep, both of them.
So that was
awesome.
Clutch here in the Piles household for sure. All right, so yeah, we talked about Gable, Mr. Fast Twitch beat Woodley. You watched the match, Bracky.
Yeah,
many people did not.
Yeah,
though they wanted to.
It was he got to take down the first period, and that was pretty much it. It was 3-2. I've noticed guys and Ben, you've talked about it, how good he is from his knees.
Yeah,
a lot of people they walk into him when he's on his knees, and that's what happened with Woodley. He walked in, and AJ did a thing where he kind of crawls and lunges forward onto a single, and he's really good once he gets on your leg finishing, and he just kind of methodically finished. It wasn't like one of his blast doubles run through you. It was a single, work through it, finish. He didn't have any problems getting away from Woodley, who is tough on top.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, he's as advertised, it looks like, and I think West Virginia is sending starters to this Cowboy Challenge.
Ooh.
Woo!
So
Let's
we
do it.
Could see him Noah Adams this weekend.
Dude, how fire would it have been if Noah was still number one and then Mr. Fast Twitch would have his shot at the number one guy? And I think, honestly, we were talking about this on the ride over to Sion Super Bowl party. Like, who are the guys that could give AJ the problems? Because neutral, I think he's as good as anyone on their feet. But we were talking about Tanner Sloan as a potential guy that could really challenge AJ from the top position. And Noah's pretty good on top, too.
Yeah, I really think Noah can match him on his feet too. He's big and strong. He's super athletic. He's not afraid to get in those scrambles and mix it up. So I'd be really interested to see that matchup. 197 in the Big 12 is a ton of fun.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Sorry. But yeah, I mean, Tanner Sloan is murking everybody right now. Now, he hasn't wrestled the best competition, but he's still ending. I think every match except for one has been early termination. Woodley,
He's got 12
Ferrari.
matches.
What's that?
He's got 12 He's got 2 decisions in 12 matches. Woodley and Coleman.
Okay.
Do you have any insight on what Iowa State's doing for their lineup? Who's going to be their 97? Is it going to be Younger or Coleman?
I don't know. Really intrigued to see that one.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. But yeah, the Big 12.
Adams, Sloan, Woodley, Buchanan, Sealy, AJ Ferrari, all top 20 guys. So the top 6, all top 20.
Are we going to talk about this Buchanan Adams match? Because you guys had it on Flow, and it was fire.
What happened?
Why haven't we talked about it yet, Brecky?
Why
the guy got whooped. How about that?
Whooped?
He didn't get whooped. Are you kidding me?
He didn't get whooped. He didn't get whooped. So Buchanan, Wisconsin native, go Wisconsin. Man, it was a fun match. It was back and forth. Buchanan has some really good offense. Noah Adams does obviously also. And the thing I was going to bring up, I was not on this trip, and now this is 20 years ago, but the Missouri guys that are older than me, the year before I got there, they went to Wyoming, and all of them, every one of them bitched and complained about how bad the altitude was in Wyoming. So I'm going to ask you, do you think the altitude affected Noah Adams?
I texted because Bray was on the call, and he is the one that really opened our eyes to this a few years ago when Oklahoma State went out there and they had that awesome duel with Dean Heil and Bryce Meredith. But they split 5-5, I believe. Oklahoma State just had a number of bonus point wins to win the duel. But you could tell all of these amazing Oklahoma State wrestlers were really feeling it. And Noah is not a guy that gasses. That's not in his repertoire. That's not something he's done at any point in his career. And he was exhausted at the end of that match.
So I'm doing some research here, Ben. Now, Noah Adams is from Coal City, West Virginia. Elevation 2,612. So that's not terrible. But Laramie?
Sure, but it's not what Laramie's 7,000. I mean, it's high. It's the hilarious
7,
story is that everyone gassed in the Mizzou duel versus Wyoming. So this is the year before I get there. So let's see. This is the winter of 2002. Everyone gassed, and Coach Smith was so pissed that he wanted them to all work out the next day, but they didn't have it was like, snowing outside, and there was nothing outside. So he made them do a pool workout, and like 3 guys on the team, Dante Stone, Tyron Woodley, they weren't good swimmers. They all joke like they were drowning.
Man.
It's so funny.
Yeah, elevation's no joke. Well, I would like to. It would be just kind of funny. It would probably be disastrous. But like, what if they had an NCAAs at elevation? Like, have it at like even a Denver or something.
That would be that would be a huge effect on the outcome. For
sure. It would be I'm kind of here for it. I'm here for like every couple of years, you throw in a Madison Square Garden or you have it in a football stadium. Let's have an elevation NCAAs, and
you'd have all the teams training with those masks on all season long. Was it elevation mask or whatever?
I would love to see it. Can you imagine the meltdowns you would see?
Epic third periods.
Awesome. Oh, the third periods. Like no lead would be safe. It would be. I honestly think it would be kind of a cool thing. It's all fair.
Well, they do the Dave Schultz there in Colorado Springs almost every single year, and that's above Denver. I want to say that's like 6,800 or something. And I wrestled there a couple times, and yes, I got to gas out a couple foreigners very, very badly because we were at elevation.
That's 6,000 feet.
6,000 is pretty high.
Yeah, that's up there. I'm here for the elevation NCAAs. That would be
Okay, but so I do think I would lean towards elevation affected Noah Adams, but I think Noah Adams versus Stephen Buchanan is a fun match almost every single time because, like I said, they both have fairly dynamic offense. They both, in my opinion, are not super great defensively, and they're not afraid to mix it up. So that one's going to be good. We're going to see it again. Like you said, 97 in the Big Tens is a blast because you have Sloan and a bunch of other guys that are going to mix it up in there with them.
Yeah, to your point, Ben, they had two good matches last year. It was 9-8 in the duel, 7-4 at Big 12s. And there was a point in the first period because Noah came out right away takedown, and then he got at Buchanan up in the air with the double again, and it looked like he was going to finish, and almost looked like he was scared he had too much momentum and was like going to go over the top with him.
too much elevation.
And he tried to he didn't try to finish like as hard with it, and it allowed Buchanan to kind of get his hips back under and avoid the takedown. And I wonder how much that changes the match if it's 4-1 late in the first period, other than I think it finished 2-1 going into the second. But
the other one, I'm blanking on whose favorite. I'm blanking on this, but the reversal when someone almost catches someone on their back, like I wouldn't have been surprised if that was 2 swipes. They didn't give 2 swipes.
It was
but
close
I wouldn't
for
have
sure.
been shocked.
Yeah,
you thought it was?
I don't know. I haven't got back since I watched it live.
Yeah. He's not revisiting that.
Live, I probably didn't think it was.
Okay,
but
it was it was precarious for a second. I can't remember which way
it was.
Went, but
they did not give backs.
They did not.
Then Cordell Norfleet beats Buchanan. Buchanan would have been like a top 5 guy if he had taken out Cordell. But now Cordell, where's he sit? Like 4th bracket?
Yeah, that's what I'm pulling up right now. Yeah,
3rd.
It created just a huge mess at 197 because I think it would have been, I don't know, more clear cut if Buchanan just beat Norfleet, and then he's like
3rd.
3, and then Adams is probably 4. But because Buchanan loses to Norfleet, that pushes Adams down farther. And Norfleet goes from 9 to 3. Trumbull and Bonacorsi beat the number 2 guy in the country, and Trumbull beat the guy that beat the number 2 guy in the country. Unfortunately, Trumbull wasn't in the lineup yet when NC State wrestled Virginia, and we didn't punish J.I.L.O. as much as we should have when he lost to Bonacorsi at the time. So we made that correction, and he slides behind Adams, who was ranked ahead of him going into the season.
This weight class of any, I feel like there's guys who are relatively low in the rankings who could make a big difference in March. So the 3 that I see the most, Rocky Elam's all the way down at 22, Ferrari at 14, and Sloan at 12. Like, if you told me all 3 of those guys finished top 6, I'm not really all that surprised. Like, I think those guys can make some gigantic movements upwards. I mean, if you tell me it's Sloan and Ferrari in the finals, are you really that shocked?
No. There's basically no comment. I mean, maybe we're not giving Schultz the respect because not only is he a clear number 1, but he's been battle tested. He beat Warner and he beat Caffey, which is about as good a resume as anyone has at 197. But he's not a super dynamic point scorer. He's not going to put up major points. He doesn't have he's not like amazing on top or anything. He's like really solid. He's hard to take down. He's great positional and he scores. So yeah, with that, you're right. It could be any.
But
any
hold
number of
on.
guys.
So I agree. Schultz is the obvious number 1 at this point. But at the same time, we're talking winning tournament. He has, of his 7 wins, he's got 3 of them that are 1-point wins.
Mm-hmm.
He beat Warner 3-2, he beat Davison 3-2, and he beat Caffey 6-5. So he's got 3 1-point wins. I think he's the obvious number 1.
All those guys are top 10 guys too.
Yeah, they're all really solid. Like I said, I think he's but when you're winning 1-point matches, they can very easily go the other direction.
Yes, very true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man, Kozak has a great idea. We can put Musakayev and Laramie.
Oh my gosh, who do we want to see him against? Zane Musakayev and Laramie.
Oh my god, greatest thing ever.
That is electric. I mean, if he doesn't text Zane in the first 48-ish seconds, What was it? Were you at Worlds in 19 in Nursultan?
I was.
What was it like getting? I've never got to watch that man up close and personal. Is he smoking cigs like between matches?
I didn't see that. I cannot confirm nor deny. He's electric though.
Yeah.
When he's got gas in the tank.
He is the most. Is he the most stereotypical fast twitch wrestler of all time? Like fast twitch,
Gotta be
electric, but just cannot hold up.
I mean, so he's got to also not train. Like, there's no way he can be that fast twitch that you gas in 45 seconds. I mean, he is lightning, but I've literally never ever seen anyone in my whole life gas as fast as he does. It is quite impressive.
And he is, Shane Sparks.
I mean,
Mr.
to the
body
point, Christian,
language
the
guy. He has the
Yanni
worst body language in wrestling too. You can tell
couldn't
everything
stand
he's
up.
feeling. Yes, he does no effort to camouflage his cardiovascular distress. He just looks on the as soon as he's feeling it, you can tell he's feeling it. And he's taking. I love all the ways he's able to take injury time. What do you think about UWW? You can take unlimited injury time at any point in time ever.
That's something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I don't know why that's
problematic.
not abused. I really don't know why that's not abused more. There was one match that an athlete I had was in a couple years back. It was at UWW, and the other guy was cramping. I don't think he was faking. I think it was real. But I'm like, well, how much longer does he get? And they're like, as long as he wants. I'm like, wait, that can't be the rule, can it? They're like, yeah, he could have literally as much time as he wants. And so, like, Musakayev, why doesn't he just do 2 minutes, calls like a 7-minute break, does 2 more minutes, 7-minute break, and then does the last 2 minutes? I mean, it's well within his rights. Those are the rules. He can do that. Why doesn't he do it?
I'm sure he's looking into it as we speak. Why wouldn't he?
If I was Musakayev's coach, I would call the injury time for him.
Yeah, it would be advisable for sure. He is a freak. Yeah, I mean Musakayev at elevation. That's appointment viewing.
So
Okay,
much fun.
I want to get into a couple more things. I want to talk some more just about the FloWrestling track wrestling thing. But before we get to that, Ben, did you see that Doug Schwab lost a team point for wearing a hooded sweatshirt?
I saw this in the doc, and I don't even know what it means.
So, okay. Imagine Andy's sweatshirt was a UNI sweatshirt. It had a UNI thing.
Okay.
It's just like that zip-up hoodie. We've all seen him. He wears them. He's worn it before, but for whatever reason, the busybody Badinsky refs decided it's team point time.
In the middle of the duel.
In the middle of the duel.
It wasn't like the duel just started. He walked out and they're like, team point. It was just like, hey, what are you doing? Team point.
What are you doing?
So what's the rule that you can't wear hoodies?
I don't know because it's not like it was not UNI hoodie. I mean, Terry Brands
that's
wears
a rule?
a zip up. It's not the rule. So that
Well, why did he get a point?
They took the team point. I don't know. There are some uniform standards for coaches. Do you know them at all, Andy?
What? No jeans.
No
That's part of
jeans.
it?
No shorts.
No shorts. Mark Hall's dad.
Mark Hall's dad got in trouble
How
for that
about
scuffle
sandals?
his redshirt year.
Yeah, can Ben get away with flip flops?
Yeah, can you wear flip flops?
Yeah. How many? I could maybe if I became a divisional coach, I could probably set the record for the most team points given away in a year because I would wear sandals to every duel.
That would not be good. I think you would probably have to wear. You would have to wear the sneakers.
I would just tell my guy, listen, guys, I'm going to support you the best I can. You guys have to wrestle extra hard because I am going to wear my sandals today. So let's get out there and give a great effort.
That's very selfish, Ben. Yeah. So no jeans, no shorts,
No hats.
no hats. That checks out. But as far as a hooded sweatshirt, but anyway, so they take the team point. It's a big hubbub, and Twitter's it's funny. And then they end up giving the team point back, and they're like, "Okay, you can wear it." And he's worn it before. He wore it at the Ohio State though. They gave the team point back. Snip, snap.
Oh, it's such a mess.
It's
Such a
so
mess.
weird. It's
Like the next day, right?
the next day. They're like, "Yeah, you're right."
Retroactively gave
Oh,
the
wait, the
point
next
back.
day they gave it back to him, not during the duel?
No, during the duel, or after the
okay.
duel, right? The next day they're like, "Oh yeah, I guess we can't do that." It's like, why are you going into the match just thinking
so
about
bad.
that? You're just looking for ways to insert yourself into, I mean, it's bad enough when they take the points for the headgear toss or a celebration on the bench, but when we're talking about hoodies, you just saw what a team point can do. It would have if Pat Pop was wearing a hooded sweatshirt or Tony Roby, then NC State wins. That's what we're talking about. That's what's determining matches. It's just
Talking about practice?
talking about sweatshirts. Anyway, kind of a silly thing, but also, these duels are important, and that they're all we have right now. And we kind of look silly when the scoring mechanism is shirts. That's not ideal.
Agreed.
So, I don't know what else. I feel unprepared in a way to talk about the details of this track wrestling, flow wrestling merger, because a lot of the questions, I can't really answer a lot of them right now, but I think high level, and what makes me excited is, you have two, bar none, the biggest wrestling websites in the world coming together to work together. And, Andy and I have been discussing this, but I feel like the wrestling fans are going to be the ultimate beneficiaries of this agreement, of us combining powers. But with the when you consider the two behemoths coming together, there is going to be an element of figuring out what it's going to exactly look like. I can say that Andy, Kyle are going to be joining our content team, right? So if you like reading Andy's stuff, you're going to be able to read it on FloWrestling, and everyone knows his coverage of Iowa wrestling, the state of Iowa wrestling, and just general coverage of wrestling is the gold standard for the sport. Kyle is a wrestling historian. He is, he worked at. Talk a little bit about Kyle Clayman, because I feel like everyone knows Andy, everyone knows Shane pretty well, but talk a little bit about Kyle and what he brings to the team.
Just an awesome guy. Probably the leading historian in the sport. Encyclopedia of knowledge. Now, you remember the Gilman quote down in Raleigh, "We're workhorses, not show ponies"?
Yeah.
Let's keep that in perspective. That's Kyle Klingman. He's a workhorse, not a show pony. Loves to tell the stories of the sport. Just loves it at every level, too. I mean, he big fan of women's wrestling, small college wrestling. You put him on anything, he's going to do a terrific job. And really fun, engaging personality, too.
Yeah, I've got to know him a little bit through this process. I didn't know him well at all, and seems like an awesome guy and very hardworking. And that's something. Getting to know the track team, that's a common thread. You can tell it's a bunch of people that love wrestling and love to work and are not afraid to put in the long days that covering the sport and loving the sport really requires. But I don't know, Andy, if you have any thoughts or thing to share. We're really excited that you're here.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here. Hospitality's been great. I mean, I think when we first started getting started wrapping our heads around it, I think one of the things that was really exciting for Kyle and I was just the fact we've had these projects that seem far off. Wanting to get into the documentary space and ideas there, and those were going to be probably months, years away, and suddenly like that stuff became a possibility overnight, and that's really exciting. You guys have done such a tremendous job raising the bar, and we've tried to be a little bit different, and I think the two entities combining complement each other really well.
Yeah, and that's something that I agree with. Well, I feel like where we're weak, you guys are really strong, and then on the event management side, you guys were first and kind of the leaders there, and we have Flow Arena, and I don't know how all that's going to work, and fortunately we don't have to figure that out, but I know it's going to be a solution that is helpful for wrestling fans. So I think there's good congruency with the two teams. It's something when it was discussed, I got really, really excited, and then as it got closer and closer, it was like, man, this is like too good to be true. What's going to go wrong? How's it not going to happen? Then it gets done. And dang Ben Askren, it's kind of broke it. So every now and
I heard
again,
a rumor.
yeah, Ben hears a rumor, and Ben's he's just. I mean, we love him. He's an open book, and whatever's on his mind comes out. So
Well, hey, we were not on air technically.
No, but our stuff is crazy, and your mics can be off, but it can still be. It's a whole thing. But anyway, Ben comes on, and he's like, "Hey, I heard a rumor," or he's like, "Are you guys buying Track Wrestling?" And I was like, my jaw hit the floor. We didn't confirm it, but if you were tuned into FRL like 5 minutes before, you heard that.
Like 6 of them.
Yeah, there's and some people were, and we heard about it, but fortunately, it was the secret was mostly kept under wraps until it became officially official. So,
congrats on the scoop, Ben.
yeah, good way to go. you're leading
I got great
journalist.
sources. What can I say?
Yeah, but we did a good job. We kept it a secret really well on the Flow side.
Absolutely.
We didn't even tell you, Ben. We tell you a lot.
I know. So if you had told me, then I would have asked you, and then no one would have got out. Boom.
Well,
There we
listen,
go.
I could get in big trouble for sharing that. So I didn't. But yeah, it's exciting times, and I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions, and I want to be able to answer them thoroughly. And I'm sure, this is our second day really working together, and hopefully we'll have more answers as things come, and we're just glad that they're on the team here. Anything else? We can get to some questions here.
Next with the questions.
Okay, questions from friends. Thank you so much for them. Jeff Kleinsmith, which number 1 ranked wrestler is most likely to lose next? So, not 25, not 33, because no one's beaten Dayton until NCAAs if he does, in fact, lose at any point. Rivera could lose at Big Tens for sure because you've got Iowa
Lee
with
and
Ironman and Nick Lee. So, and you can't count out a Chad Red type of guy here either. So he'd be on the list. Sammy Sasso, for similar reasons, could be on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Deacon. So there's so many 57s, but who at 57s beating Ryan Deacon?
I don't know.
They're not in
The rust factor.
That's true. That's true. Just not having wrestled is going to be problematic. Makai Lewis, not till NCAAs, even though Kennedy Monday pushed him, I think. I don't see that happening. Kemmerer.
Be interesting to see him against Jake Wenzel this weekend, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Wenzel beat Monday.
Wenzel's beat Monday. He's beat Ethan Smith. He's beat Braunagel. He's really solid.
He beat Ethan Smith this year or last year?
Last year, yeah.
Dang. Jake Wenzel. Miles Amin, I think he would probably lose to Big Ten, at Big Ten's to Brooks. I don't think any of them are losing till conferences, personally. I think all the number ones are
Christian,
gonna
we only
make.
have one more weekend till conferences, really.
For
And a lot of
some.
people aren't even wrestling that weekend.
Yep. Man, I think all the ones are going to hold until conferences, personally. So yeah, sorry, kind of a cop out answer. I'll say Rivera, just because that weight is so good, and he's going to hit one, maybe two. I mean, who knows how they see that at the Big Tens? We have him ranked first, but that doesn't mean he'll be ranked first for in the Big Ten seedings. I don't know how they'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if John Smith had not been pulled into coaching, how many world championships do you think he could have won?
Oh man, I saw this question and I don't know how to answer it because I don't know the competitive landscape of 1993.
What do you think,
I wasn't
Andy?
really even watching wrestling at that point. So for me, I have no idea. I would ask someone who's more akin. They know the time better.
Andy may have an idea.
Yeah, I don't know. Because Tom won it in '93, right?
Mm-hmm.
So US was on a pretty good roll there.
Yeah. He made it as soon as he
So
retired.
could
and
John
then-
Smith whoop Tom Brands in '93? That's the question.
Well, he whooped him.
Let's ask him.
In when
91?
was it 91 US
91,
Open?
right?
I'm not sure if it's 91 or 92.
Yeah. So he beat him. I mean, I kind of tend to believe that it would have been John at least a couple years after that.
91. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's a beating. And so 2 years later, would have Tom figured out all of that? I don't know. let's say if John put in another 5 years, which would have been pretty reasonable. I mean, they said up until he was the best guy in the Oklahoma State room, and then it was like Jamil Kelly when he made his Olympic silver run before anyone was even like testing him in the room. Like he was that good. So I don't know. I'd say he could have got at least 3 more through. Maybe he doesn't win them all, but when you're 6 for 6, man, I can't.
Probably a couple more.
93 World Championships. Those were kind of with the Heat. It's kind of like the equivalent of the Elevation NCAA Championships, I think.
Were you there?
I was not.
They said it was that where Terry wrestled the Cuban?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Famous match. The great match. Watch that on YouTube.
Jesus Wilson. He grabs him, he gouges him. It's an epic American victory. It's awesome. Next question. Let's go to. Okay, this one is for Bracky. You ready? If pound for pound are based on elite wins, as you say, why is Rivera ranked 7th? He has the best elite wins on the entire list.
Ooh, burn.
That's a good question. Hang on, let me pull it up here.
Was he undefeated last year?
No.
He lost at Midlands, right? To Groves.
He lost to be definitely.
He lost to Seth Groves,
Yes.
which obviously he avenged and is not a bad
Ooh, that was a
loss. Let me
wild
see who's
match.
ranked ahead of him. Mitrich has made an NCAA final. Fix has made an NCAA final. Kemmerer, Stevenson.
I think he should be ahead of Kemmerer. Personally.
Yeah,
They have a
I think
comparable
we
loss because Mark beat Kemmerer, right? And Kemmerer beat Mark, so they have that. But
I think we gave a lot of weight to that to the Mark Hall win.
Yeah, which makes sense. But 2 wins over Spencer, a win over Gross, a win over
RBY.
Even Vito's kind of getting to be that elite status, and he's got 2 wins over him.
Yeah. I think he beat Glory too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did.
He's not a pound for pound guy, but someone reveres.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. And
Sleeping on Seabass.
Something we can look at this week for sure.
Absolutely.
Will Flow and Track pay access be consolidated into one subscription? I'm sure that's the plan. That that it doesn't make sense to keep those things separate. The way it becomes a win for wrestling fans is, you consolidate the thing, right? So that'll be the plan. When it happens, I don't know, but we want to do it and make it happen as quick as possible for you guys. But it's the busiest time of year for track right now with 40 state championships.
I think, I'm not sure exactly how many. I know we were close to 50 a year ago. But yeah, February is bonkers.
Yeah. So this is like the crazy busiest time. So, it's really important to make sure that what Track Wrestling's doing right now is able to continue, and they provide the continuity for all their partners. So that's priority 1 right now. So it'll take a little bit, but it's exciting. Okay, Cody Arnold. Wow, a lot of Cody Arnold references. He's the 5th co-host here. If the season were regular length, what would be more likely? Spencer breaks a pin record or Gable breaks takedown record? I think this is kind of obvious, but I'll let Ben go first.
Ooh. Well, so Gable, there's no way Gable's doing it because he's getting a bunch of first period pins.
Right.
He's got multiple really quick ones, so he's out on that. But the other thing is the season record is 40. I remember looking at it. I think it's 40 or 41 by, I want to say Howard Harris from Oregon State. Spencer ain't getting that many matches, so how's he going to break the damn pin record?
Yeah, he never will. I don't think the Iowa schedule would allow for that. And unless he takes a page out of the old Ben Askren book and starts entering the UNI and the Grandview.
Spencer ain't doing that.
It'd have been funny if he had entered a couple of the freshman sophomore brackets as some of those opens.
Boom. I mean, listen, I would advise that if I were Spencer's advisor, but I'm not, so I can't.
You can be an unofficial advisor.
Where's Jason Bryant? Jason Bryant, tell us what the dang record is. I think it's Howard Harris. I think it's 40, which barely anyone gets that many matches anymore.
Yeah, that would require basically 100% pin rate for someone that happens to have the right schedule, because it just doesn't happen anymore.
Yes.
Well, I don't know what the takedown record is either, honestly. I know
Oh,
Ben
I don't
Askren
know
has the
either.
Wisconsin state takedown
got-
record. Do you still have
I
it?
do. Yeah, no one's no one's ever beating that.
You don't think so?
They can't do so listen, here you got to be able to take the heat. People hated me for it, and I just didn't give a damn what people thought, so I just kept doing it. And now even like looking back, I'm like, damn, I would have probably hated myself.
Really? Why? Because you're just 30,
Yeah, I mean,
15
literally
and all these guys?
every single match, Christian, I wrestled 38 matches and I got 401 takedowns. That's average of like 11 a match. I'm just literally takedown, let up, takedown, let up, takedown, let up. And it's so boring and repetitive. Yeah.
Ben, were you locking your hands to get more points? Locking your hands?
I did that
picking top
twice
and cutting
on
guys?
occasions. Yep, on
You
occasions
did?
where I chose. Yeah, there was one occasion where I really like the guy. I didn't like the guy, so I chose top. I locked my hands. I think I got 18 takedowns in one match.
How did that not make the funk? Oh my gosh, that is an epic story. You took top, locked hands, gave up the escapes,
And then I would I would always make sure I cut people at the end of a period so they got an extra point, so I would get another one. Like I would never ride out the end of the period. I mean, it takes tactics to get that many takedowns.
Yeah, you were playing 3D chess with your with your takedown record. So do you have the career record or like a season record?
Well, so I had in Wisconsin, I had the season record my sophomore year at 371. I re-broke it again my junior year with 401. I can't imagine that. I had over 1,000 in my career, so I got to imagine I have the record, and I don't think anyone's ever touching it.
401.
And they actually made a record. Or the next year, they made a rule where if you did that, it was unsportsmanlike conduct.
If you
so
do
then
what?
people were stopped from doing it. If you take someone down and let them up too many times, it's unsportsmanlike conduct in Wisconsin.
Can't. That's terrible.
Nonsense.
Yeah.
401 and how many matches?
So I had 40 matches, but there was a forfeit and a bye or something. So I think I only wrestled 38 matches.
401 divided by 38. Coming in at a cool 10.5 per.
It's a lot.
Man, Ben Askren, not a good sport. Holy cow. That's all time. Roy Donk, jazz legend. Wants to know specifically for Bracky, thoughts on the Tiger Woods documentary.
It was amazing. I think everyone should watch it. I know we talked a lot about documentaries during the summer when nothing was happening with the Last Dance and the Lance Armstrong. And this is another one that you really get into the mindset of one of the greatest athletes of all time, the greatest golfer of all time.
Earl Woods.
Earl Woods. His dad pretty much built him. Decided at a young age he was going to be an amazing golfer, and then. He was the best ever at his peak. And it goes into the downfall and then the rehab and everything. It's really pretty awesome stuff.
Have you watched it, Ben?
I still have not. Kyle's recommended it to me.
And I'll tell you what I like about it too is The Last Dance was amazing, but Jordan was like an editor on it. He had final say on everything. Tiger did not okay this documentary.
Clearly.
Did not have any involvement with it whatsoever. So you're getting the story from people that his caddy is huge in it. People that were directly involved with him and his upbringing and his family. It's really incredible stuff.
The Lance parallels for me are just I see so many, the way he's able to cut people out of his life just at a drop of hat. His girlfriend, they were, it was kind of his first girlfriend and all that, and then boom, he just coldly ends it when he got in trouble with it from his parents. And then his caddy, who was such a big part of him, he was a best man in his wedding. Tiger misses a year and he's like, hey, can I be a caddy for this dude? Tiger says yes, he's a caddy for him, and then boom, cuts him off and never talks to him again. That's just it's like a personality disorder type of stuff to cut someone out of your life when, of course we don't, the issue, the other side of the coin, Bracky, is when you don't have Tiger's involvement in any way or say, you don't really get his side. Well, what did Steve Williams do? Did he just caddy for Adam Scott and that was the thing? It's like, well, there may be more to the story
For
there.
sure, yeah.
But yeah, I just tend to kind of, he's just a obsessed person. He was not a balanced individual. The greats are not balanced, right? Like Lance Armstrong is not a balanced person. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, these are not balanced individuals. And when your whole life is one thing, you'll make some choices that don't make sense.
And I see it like, obviously golf is not the most physically demanding sport of all time, although you do see the toll it takes on Tiger's body. But it is, I think there are a lot of parallels in the mental game with it and wrestling being such an individual sport and competing up against somebody. And I'm being a very below average golfer myself. It is incredibly like how you can get in your own head and just completely go off the rails. And I mean, he broke guys by just being him. It was amazing.
He got pushed pretty hard at a young age too, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You should watch it.
Yeah.
It's insane.
They talk about it like Earl created this man in like a lab, like from the time he was 3.
He was when he was a baby, 10 months, Earl would go in the garage and he would make Tiger watch him just hit and hit and hit. And he said Tiger like got glued to it and watch it. I mean, listen, he goes on I forget what show it was. At 3 years old, and it has a better swing than most adults I know.
Yeah.
Right. It's not. It's like you can have some phenom type of stuff. Like I believe, you can be born with some crazy math. I've talked about my son had this weird photographic memory from a young age that didn't make sense. Like it wasn't developed in him, but golf is not one of those things. I don't think you have to will that into him. Right, and it was willed into him, and it had a lot of issues with him down the line. That when you have those kind of gaps in your character development, you can see what can happen. But I think it is interesting how he was an intimidator on the golf course. Yeah, he would just his presence alone would freak guys out. It's cool. I encourage you to watch it. I mean, if you like sports, it's a cool story. I don't know if it's cool, but it's fascinating. It's interesting. I really enjoyed it. But don't let Kyle Brackey tell you he's not an outstanding golfer. I once witnessed Steve at a Topgolf. If you ever been to a Topgolf, you got the machine that sucks up the balls. It's going back and forth. It's like it's not a golf cart. It's like a machine that sucks up the balls, right? Yeah. Brackey said, "I'm going to hit it," and the thing was moving, and he hit the thing on the move with his iron. So that was really impressive to me.
Yeah, a good short game.
He's got a great short game. So don't classic.
Speaking of documentaries, if I can, real quick, I know we're
Night
over.
Soccer.
I know we're over.
Hey,
Like
it's
It's
Chinzo.
9:58. Holy cow! I'm sorry.
I gotta go. I have something at 10 o'clock. Keep telling your story, and I'm gonna cut out.
Bye, Ben. Thank you.
We're over like
Bye.
Chinzo at the scuffle.
No.
But there's a documentary out now. I think you can watch it on Hulu called Framing Britney, and it's all about the conservatorship. Let's everybody watch it before Thursday.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that for Thursday Alien Hour.
Dang it, I'm gonna be gone. All right. Well, I'll still tune in. That's awesome. Are you familiar with Britney Spears' plight, Andy? I know you're
A little bit.
I know you're a big Britney fan, but yeah, they got it. So Bracky's been hot on the case for a while now to free Britney from her conservatorship. So yeah, tune in Thursday. Well, hey, I really lost. The adage is true. When you're having fun, time flies. It's 9:59. You guys got places to be. So do we. Holy cow. Special thanks to Track Wrestling Game. Andy Hamilton hopping on today. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Tyler, for letting us go into overtime. Tyler Brunnett, TB12 method. Thanks so much. We'll be back tomorrow. JD Raider hopping on. Stash, we're keeping that Iowa flair.
Hamilton County,
the pride of Jewel, Iowa. He'll be here. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a good Tuesday. See ya.